All right. Sorry about that, guys. Well, I want to welcome everyone to our new episode of TGIF, also known as, thank goodness, it's Fortinet, where we host a topic every Friday on different Fortinet items, products, what have you. Those start at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Today we'll be covering our second episode of FortiAnalyzer to get more in depth on what it is. We will be recording today's session, and we'll be sending a link to the recording afterwards if you have registered with your information. A quick introduction for me. I am actually stepping in for Dana Mead. She is sick right now. I am Reed Scrimger. I am part of Exclusive Networks, and I'm the Director of Business Development, focusing on Fortinet and the interaction with Exclusive Networks. Couple quick items before we get into it. Please take a moment to check your microphone and make sure you're muted. If you could do that now, that'd be great. We do hope to avoid any background noises, but we do want this to be interactive. So if you have questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, speak up, raise your hand, Q&A and chats, whatever you prefer. I will also have added in a poll, hoping you guys can quickly fill that out. And then with that said, we can move on to the next areas. So a little bit about Exclusive Networks. We have a hyper focus on cyber and cloud security, which really is our expertise in those realms, which brings us to the Fortinet area. We are 100% channel sales and services. So you're not really we don't deal with the end users. We are here for you. We do have a global deals desk and warehouse that seamlessly accommodates large deals and projects for you guys. And we can pretty much ship anywhere in the world, and we can take care of the logistics for you. We also offer full functioning support and training. That's pre-sales, post-sales, group one-on-one trainings are all readily available for you. Just reach out to us. I think most of you guys know Dana. I'll have my contact information on here as well. So also keep us in mind when you're starting to work on your NAC certification trainings. If you need pre-sales support, we really help you in many areas in the Fortinet world. So that is a little bit done of my introduction. I'm going to turn it over to our presenter, David Yang. He is our Senior Director of Support and Services. David's been with Exclusive Networks, also was FineTech before the purchase. He's been here for over 8 years. Before joining Exclusive Networks as support and services, he's held various positions such as application developer, software QA, information technology, and systems engineer. So a lot of knowledge and experience that he has that he brings to the table. So with that, David, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Reed. Good morning or good afternoon. Thanks again for joining us with TGIF. Again, we're going to have a brief talk about Fortinet products and technology services. Before that, let me just quickly introduce our support and service, which is the department I'm heading. We do pre and post-sale support. We do FortiGate, migration, jumpstart, staging services. If you guys have any questions regarding any of the services, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll give you a little bit more detailed description about how we do those services for you. And we also provide vulnerability testing services. We also have a third-party Fortinet training facility to help you to get your engineer trained with NSC certification. We also provide our in-house, we have instructor to provide you the cloud competency training. So anything you related to the cloud, you want to understand how to secure your cloud, we have the training service for you. After all this, today's agenda, brief, and this is a long weekend. We won't keep it long. So we're gonna just quickly review. Last week we talked about UTM and NGFW. So I'm gonna quickly review what it's about again. Then I want to really dive more into FortiGuard. FortiGuard is really our Fortinet's product and technology's brain and heart and soul. FortiGuard's been, ever since Fortinet's established, FortiGuard's always been there. There's a few hundred of researchers, engineers working in the FortiGuard labs, and they constantly are monitoring the worldwide network and try to help Fortinet's customers. And after that, I want to talk about the security rating. I'm not sure any one of you already understand what security rating is about. And then we're going to talk about what's best practices. Again, feel free to ask any questions and jump in. We have Christian here. Christian is the senior system engineer with the Fortinet. So if you have any question, feel free to use chat or just raise your voice, and then we will try to address your question or any suggestions. Again, this is last week's slides. I'll just quickly review this. We have application firewall versus UTM. Application firewall, mainly you can see that as multiple points, and each point's really to secure or filtering or protect your network against any application-related attack. So there's an email security, there's a data loss, there's web content filtering, anti-malware, and there's even IPS. So that's multiple points. Each multiple points represent one of the applications. So in terms of UTM, it's Unified Threat Management. So basically integrate everything into one box. So that's what FortiGate is really offering the best solution in the world. And most importantly, I think you need to have the hardware performance. You need to have a software understanding technology to produce such technology and product to protect everything together. Again, like I mentioned, there's a Fortinet, from my point of view, Fortinet, the ASIC, the hardware performance is the muscle of the FortiGate, right? FortiOS is the brain, but FortiGuard is really the soul of the whole technology behind everything. Now, this is a quickly overview again with the FortiOS security features. So I'm not going to read through all of them, but if you can read real carefully, you can see that Fortinet's FortiOS protection is everywhere from end to end. We're not talking about just the parameter only, but we also have understanding that Fortinet has a Fortinet security fabric. It's really protect you from east to west, from north to south, from end-to-end protection. So it's very broad. It's all integrated, including all the Fortinet products, as well as third-party products that certify with the Fortinet security fabrics. And all those informations, all those flow of information on any alert, any events will trigger and flow through into the FortiGate and related Forti security fabric products that give you automated response and a trust assessment. It's a very, very important. You can see everything that work together. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, so FortiGate is the muscle that provide you the performance, provide you the strength, provide you the power. And the FortiOS is really the brain to give you, to help you to give all the updates, give all the understanding, all the technology built into that. But most importantly, I think everybody usually may or may not understand is that there's a FortiGuard services. Every time when we buy a FortiGate devices, we say, okay, I want to do a bundle, which includes FortiGuard and FortiCare. FortiCare is basically hardware, software maintenance, but a FortiGuard services actually is the most important part behind to make sure everything's up to date, make sure you're protected. So if we look at this diagram, very easy to see. There's a FortiGuard service in the whole wide world is sitting on the top, right? And then there's a FortiGuard services, a FortiGuard lab, and threat intelligence sharing. So the FortiGuard lab, we can talk a little bit more later in the later slides, but let's talk about the FortiGuard services. So ever since Fortinet established in 2000, actually, they have the first product out by 2002, the FortiGuard services, although may not carry a formal name, it already exists. They already have a group of researcher engineer started working on, at that time, is antivirus, anti-malware. Then in 2005, Fortinet created so-called FortiGuard Labs, which is an internal security research team. There's about 200, more than 200 research engineers around the world working 24/7 by 365 days to understand, to monitor, to do research, to study all those threats coming in from more than 4.6 million FortiGate devices out there this day, right? And there's a 400,000 customers. All those FortiGate in the world deployed, they feed all those information back to the FortiGuard team. They use a machine learning AI to really to understand, to analyze which one of the alert or the message traffic to provide the updates to each of FortiGate around the world. But again, FortiGate is mainly the starting device. However, there's a 40 sandbox, there are 40 SIM, 40 analyzer, all of them work together to provide you overall protection. So as you can see, the FortiGuard, there's we call so-called predictive intelligence. So they use basically using artificial intelligence, using machine learning, and then really get down to deep learning, understand each of the packets, each of the traffic coming in, what the threat is that can protect you. So that's the brain, that's the soul behind everything that Fortinet provides. That's why Fortinet also provide or offer these services. There's a threat protection, there's UTM protection, enterprise protection, and last and the most important part is 360. 360 really provides overall understanding of your network environment and provide you the protection you need in your devices, in your network environment. So 360 is a new things that Fortinet really want to give you, that really provide you the all around the scope of your network environment. So I'm going to dive into a little bit about the FortiGuard labs. So the first thing I want to show you is a FortiGuard threat intelligence brief. Later on, I'll give you a quick demo about FortiGuard labs that you can understand better. This is just a very small sample of what FortiGuard labs currently provides. It gives you some understanding, overall understanding of what's going on around the world. So those threats, those malware activities that give you understanding, say, okay, this is the thing that currently going on, not just on your FortiGate. This could be for any device that you have, could be a mobile device, could be tablet, could be even IoT devices. Any device that could become the attack points, that's the one you need to keep up to date. And then this is a very interesting one. I thought it's very useful. We're going to talk a little bit more later. So this is the threat analytics. So basically, if you look at the picture on the left, is looking all the threats. We'll dive into a little bit and looking at the maps, telling you in the world what's going on right now at this moment, what kind of threats going on in each of the region. And last, I think is very important, at least from my point of view, is looking at the industry. Depends on which industry you're in, depends on which industry your end customers in. You should look at what kind of threats specific toward those industry. And then you can, if you're financial or you're a medical, you need to be compliant. You need to prevent all threats. Those are very important indication and most very important information you want to dive into. If you or maybe your engineer are very interested in, I'll definitely strongly suggest you to sign up with their email subscription. So FortiGuard Labs, besides the one we just saw, there's a 0-day information research center, intelligent podcast. So you can listen to what's going on, most current one, that's what's going on with all the threats. And there's a service of the threat lookup. The threat lookup, basically, you can, if you see any threats you want to understand a little bit more, you can go to a threat lookup and type in the information, and then we'll give you more detail related to that threats. And threat map, we'll do some demo on that. So let me just go ahead, dive right into the demo for you. Okay, so this is the FortiGuard Labs, right? So the one I just showed you, weekly threat brief. Actually, let me show you one thing real quick. As a matter of fact, this morning I just received this email. So because I subscribe to the FortiGuard Labs email for the threat intelligence. So give me a quick overview of what's going on by today. And then this mainly is more like a weekly or monthly summaries. So give you a quick brief understanding what's going on. So I can just easily click into that. I can see there's a threat landscape report. So this landscape report will tell me what's going on in the industry, right, overall. So the FortiGuard labs, so this is the weekly threat briefs. So that's the slides I just showed you. So you can see that. So that's the email threat intelligence report I see this morning, right? So this one, FortiGuard threat intelligence brief, today's date, right? And the other one I want to show you just earlier is this one, threat analytics. So if you look this, threat, it's very interesting. If you get bored with your whatever work you're doing, or pass that to your engineer, they can understand a little bit more and probably give you more insights, understanding what's going on. So if you look at this, right? So it's a threat maps. So you can look at it by the volume or by devices, right? What kind of devices out there that are constantly having all those attacks? There's IP virus, there's IPS, and what kind of botnet, endpoints, threats. Those are the information are very important for us to understand better. This right, yep, okay. Then you can also look at a map. Right, so you can see that based on volume, China's number one, India number two, and then based on devices, right, Japan, right. So there's so many virus threat coming out from different region, different countries. So the first one's virus. This is IPS. Then you have botnet, and you have endpoints. I hope this is very interesting to you. At least right now, it's very interesting to me. And I constantly looking at those to understand what's going on, especially in the United States. I want to see what's going on. Then, most importantly, I always like to look at the industry to see what's going on. I'm in the technology industry, so I look at my technology industry's statistics, right? So give me those informations, right? And I can look at a virus, I look at IPS, right? So IPS, look at technologies, right? So this is the attack, and look at the botnet. This will give me an overall understanding what's going on around the world, what's going on in my industry, and what do I need to be look out for. Just pay more attention to those things, right? I hope everyone feels the same way as I do, that this is quite important.
Hey, David, it's Christian. Just some
Go
nerd
ahead.
stats on that. Yeah, for sure. 8 data centers around the globe consist of FortiGuard. 200 plus Fortinet engineers are dedicated to just FortiGuard alone. And these are the nerds and the nerds. They love going to Black Hat. They're getting all kinds of great statistics because all these FortiGate products out there are just sensors around the world, sending all that data back to FortiGuard. And every FortiGate's like that annoying kid in the car saying, "Are you there yet? Are you there yet?" The FortiGate's just saying, "Is there any updates? Is there any updates? Is there anything going around the web?" So we're able to see this stuff because we're a huge global company. I mean, we're the number one vendor in South America, Japan, India. Tons of APAC regions, tons of just everywhere. It's a huge global company, and this being sensors, this is very important to be able to see these threats globally and then stop them right away. It's just amazing how we can stop more 0 days than pretty much all the other vendors combined. And you'll see those on the statistics on the FortiGuard page, but 0 days are very important to block. And way before the vendor knows about it, we already have you protected through the FortiGate. So yeah, I'm with you, David. I love these numbers and I love seeing all this stuff.
Yep.
They're great stuff for the nerds.
Thank you, Christian. Yeah, it's a very important. I believe FortiGate is probably the most deployed security device in the world. like I mentioned to you, millions FortiGate devices constantly feeding information. There's also not just a FortiGate, there's a FortiSandbox, there's a FortiClients, endpoints, all those information collected. So you can see this is a very interesting, I mean, again, if you're bored in the day, you look at this like a Star Wars, fighting each other or something, right? Anyway, this is very important to us. I think we should all keep aware of what's going on in the industry, in the world, and so we can be more prepared and more aware, right? I'll always compare our days as our security world as our human world, because we always need to be aware about our surroundings. We need to keep up, be alert, so we can protect our family, protect ourselves, protect our friends, protect our beloved ones. The same thing, security, the same thing. We need to protect our environment, where our most important critical assets. Now, I'm going to jump right into another part, which is the one that I think very interesting. I hope you think so too. So this is regarding the security posture and maturity level. So both on this, I basically take what I think is very important to me is the best practice of. So if you look at the FortiGuard, there's a security best practice. And then I'm going to show you this too. So if you look at this, right? So my security rating is 95th percentile. So if I look at my security fabric, the security rating is like this. So based on this information, I think before we even jump into the UTM, NGFW, or the security profile whatsoever, you need to first of all, harden your FortiGate and make sure your FortiGate is hardened and security ready to be, and then you can move forward. So let me come back to this, right? So all those information is very important. So based on this three, I want to say three different organizations, the Department of Homeland Security, the CIS, the Critical Security Control, those are things that we should have a good understanding. And then we look at a Fortinet security best practice to see how we can tighten up our FortiGate. How we can tighten up FortiGate, then we move on with all the UTM and NGFW features, technologies to tighten up all the environment altogether. So if you look at this slides, basically, I'm taking some notes from the cybersecurity capability maturity model white paper, which was published by Department of Homeland Security in 2014, and the CIS control, and then the one I just showed you, the Fortinet security best practice. So there's a, I want to say it should be only 5 level, but there's a level 0. So meaning means I have nothing yet, right? It's very informal, ad hoc. I just have a logging, maybe have a logging running, and then just basically no hardened protection on my security device yet. And then nonetheless, my network, my internal network, or any of my resources is protected. So there's a different categories. So from level 0, so informal, and then you have AL, so stand for audit, logging, and monitoring. The limited reaction for the level 1, then level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. So all this is based on Fortinet security best practice. When you're in the level 0, you basically many have nothing or many minimal audit log or monitoring. So all the traffic, all the user and traffic activity, we need to be tracked, and also we need to verify to make sure that those are information, those are traffic are based on the business related priorities, right? We also need to make sure those traffic are conform to the regulatory or some kind of a standard for our company policy, security policies, right? Those information should be collected within a period of time, not just one day, not just real time, but also need to collect it in a period of time. That's what this log the reporting is very important to us, so we can use those information and see if our security really meet our standard of regulation and compliant to our company policy or even industry policies. Right. Level 2 is basically for application security. So we need to protect our application, not just application software itself, on application information itself, but also the backend database. The database and application has different configuration and different policy. And more importantly, nowadays, the SSL secure socket layer is everywhere. So those need to be done in the more deep inspection level, right? And then we need to look at the data protection. So data protection, we need to make sure there's no sensitive leaking out. Doesn't matter if it's intentionally or unintentionally. Those data loss protection, we call DLP, is very important part of this level, right? We need to make sure the application, the data is protected, right? In the level 2, we call developing a manual. So many of them is really related to endpoint management. And again, one thing is very important, which I mentioned earlier, is the services, the FortiGuard services and the FortiCare services. So you need to make sure not just all your endpoint, the firmware, the updates there, and we all know the Microsoft updates are constantly happening, but FortiGate itself, not just set it up and put it over there and forget about it. We need to constantly monitoring and make sure all the firmware and the services up to date. That's what a FortiGuard and FortiCare service is very, very important. It's a key point to make sure we keep our security tight and up to the level. Then at level 3, right, it's we so-called defined responsive. So all this is about network design. So when you have a network that's complex nowadays, then you need to make sure your network design and the policies is up to date, and make sure the architecture and all the segmentation is all protected by some kind of security policies. Nowadays, we all know wireless is so popular. So wireless become another factor that we need to make sure our design and the security policies is up to date and protect them, or to filter them or scan any possibility for any intrusions, any leaf dropping, those kind of attacks. So we also in the network, we have could be a third party hardware involved. Some switches may not be FortiSwitch, maybe any other brand name switches or even off-the-shelf switch. Those switch also need to be recognized and be part of the design. There's a lot of shadow IT things. No, there's a lot of somebody just bringing off-the-shelf home-based Wi-Fi router, bring to the office and try to set it up and try to get a connection. Those need to be detected and well protected, isolated from your business network environment. The level 4 is the manager monitor. So we have all the design development done on the network side, on the management side, on the endpoint side. But now we need to understand how we can manage and constantly monitoring to keep all those breaking, all those attacks away from your network. So that's why we bring this fabric security hardening. Right, fabric security hardening, basically, if you already have some sort of protection, but how are you going to use different meaning of the protection management to make sure they're constantly up to date? Because all those devices separate everywhere, how do you make sure those alert message, all those events can be passed from one device to the central location, so you can be further analyzed and take reaction to it and mediate any attacks. Lastly, it's going to be the optimized and proactive. So once you have done all the security baseline, all those management measurement, then you need to find a way to optimize and be more proactive. So a lot of time we short of resources. So that's why security fabric is very important. And also we have the resource from the Fortinet and from you guys will be able to help your end customer to provide enough good expertise to protect the network. Again, if there's any question, please feel free to use chat or stop me at any time. I hope I provide enough information, at least get you guys started. And again, like I mentioned last time, this is the community. It's not just me. It's not just Christian. It's not just Fortinet. It's everyone involved to get this this cyber, to get this internet more secure than we're supposed to be. So this is more like a summary. So security best practice. So I kind of summarize all this together, and I hope to give you enough information to understand each level. Well, of course, the level 5 is the one that we all want to be set our goal at. But then this is the things that we should constantly doing, constantly measure and then manage ourselves. So this is the part earlier I showed you briefly on the FortiGate that you have a security rating, right? So if you look at the security rating features, right? So there's a industry standard practice, so like level 1, level 0, all the way to level 5. Then we understand how to take those information in mind, right? Have the mentality and mindset to move forward. Then we use what Fortinet provide us, the security fabric and also security rating feature to help us to harden our security network. Now, so if you look at the 3 picture on the right, so the top one is basically, you can see that security rating is minus 115. That's basically more like a default setting on the FortiGate. I did a factory reset on one of the device and said, wow, look at this. Because no, this is pretty much open before you deploy into your network. This is probably something you want to say, okay, how can I harden? So the second one is probably some, I want to say, some basic effort had made into the FortiGate to harden it. So I got a minus 40 and 30 percentile. Then last one at the end, well, it's not 100% percentile, but at least I put enough good effort into it to make a little more secure on the FortiGate device, and which is protecting your parameter and edge. Any questions so far? Okay, so if no more questions, I'm gonna dive right into the demo. I'm gonna show you the security rating, and there's a feature visibility, and then we're gonna do some monitoring and logging, and check out those monitors, check out those logging, and give you some ideas what's going on. So you can see that, right? So this is the one, actually the device that I showed you earlier. There's the last one, we got a 99% tile for this security rating, right? Before I dive into that, I want to show you something real quick. So this is kind of related to back to the, well, earlier we talked about UTM, NGFW. So if you go to the feature visible, I don't know if everybody knows about this, but hey, if you are not familiar with it, you can go to the feature side, feature tab, and you can just click on NGFW. It'll show you that application control intrusion prevention. That's NGW, right? Then you can say, I want to look at my UTM. So UTM, there's no DNS filter, no intrusion prevention. But then, hey, I want to do auto customization. I want to do auto protection. So I do custom, and I just select all of them. So you have full protection at this moment, of course, because 40 OS continue evolving. So you will see more and more information, more and more protection to help you to build into the FortiGate devices, right? Just give you some quick understanding. So before that, before we dive into the security rating, this is the way you can protect your network. But before we start protecting your network, you make sure your FortiGate is hardened enough so nobody can really get into your FortiGate. The first thing, last week I showed people, the first thing actually I did is I want to use multi-factor. So I did a Forti token. So I did a hard token. I have a hard token device with me, and I put in a token. I set up this token, so I enabled the token for my administrator login. So just in case you didn't see it last time, let me show you again, so you understand even from the password level of the security for my administrator login. You can create any administrator if you want to, but this is just purely from the password level. So it's asking me for token. So I'm gonna check my number. So my administrator login, I already have multi-factor authentication available, right? So enable that, I can prevent that to make sure nobody can log in. The other level of protection you can do is, you can even say, right? So you can even restrict that login from some hosts, right? You can even do that. So there's different levels of protection on this administrator login already. You can create your own, and then you can do the same protection again. So let me show you the security rating now. So this security rating, I can do the run now. I click on run now. So we'll give me a security rating of what's going on with this FortiGate device itself. So you can see that it's a 95 percentile. The number is pretty good. It's okay. But I say, hey, I want to put more security on my machines, right? You can do two ways. So you can read this like the audit log setting, right? You can do easy apply, right? So if I want to easy apply, I click on that, right? I can do enable it. I can do easy apply, right? This is the way you can do, or you can pick multiples, right? The other way I can do that is I read it says enable login for all session traffic on the following IPv4. So this is all outbound. So if I go to my policy, click on policy, you can see that this policy is currently enabled. So all I need to do is I say log allow traffic. By default, it's a security events only, but I can say all sessions. I click OK. So you can do two ways, right? You can do easy apply, but I don't like to easy apply because I really want to know exactly what's going on. So I go back to security rating and then run out again. And that item should disappear, and right? Give me a little bit higher score. So you can see that it move up 1 inch, right? So now I have 760, so 10 points. So yeah, so there's a result give you over here, then 10 points, right? So if I look at another one here, it's very easy to apply. It's this one, unsecure portal HTTP. So absolutely, I don't want a HTTP. So it says management, disable HTTP. So I can easily go to my network interface on the management side, on management port, disable my HTTP. Click OK, a compact security fabric, security rating, and run now. I should add 30 points to it. Right, so actually add quite a few more in there. So I got 97 percentile. But anyway, so just give you guys a taste or understanding what's going on with this, right? So this, you definitely want to move yourself up to higher percentile and more points, because if you look at your dashboards, this is an industry rating, right? So you can see that. This would be a very good tool for partner reseller like you guys. Then you can definitely go in there, not just, hey, install the FortiGate, great. I think this will be a recurring service you can do for your customer, because configuration change, environment change, network thing change, all those change, but based on whatever change that you have, you need to look at your industrial security rating to make sure that up to the part that they are protected itself on the FortiGate itself, right? So 97, I don't think is enough. Definitely I want to move more, but then we can do that later. So this is the one you can continually monitoring and see what you can do for your customer to make sure they are fully protected, right? So on that, I want to show you, so there's a policy, right? Policy and object. So I'm going to look in that. So you can see that each of our policy, there's a antivirus, the demo one. Last week I did real quick because we're running out of time, but I did real quick. So you can see that and we can turn on each of them for security profile. I don't know if you guys don't know that, but FortiGate basically is a policy base, right? So the policy base is controlling the traffic directions or traffic flows. So for this one, particularly is from LAN to my WAN port. So I controlling this. So if you have any other ports available for instance, you have a VLAN, you have segmentation in your network, you can protect those traffic flows by any of this security policy and with a security profile. So this one I select demo one. So demo one basically in the security policy, a security profile. I have different security profiles, so I can always go refer back to demo one, which is the one I select. And you can easily add new one if you want to. Right, so use each of the security profile apply to different different policy to control or to secure the traffic flow. So we have antivirus, web filtering, DNS filter. DNS filter is a new one, and there's application control. Like last time I showed you guys, application control. There's a lot different way to look at application, not just based on the protocol and ports, but it's also dynamic. So each one of them has a session ID will assign to it. So that you can use to control your traffic in the application level. And that's intrusion prevention, the same thing. Now, what I want to do is this. I want to show you guys, so the logging, right? Let me show you this. So there's a log setting, right? So you can see that I currently log to my FortiAnalyzer, and also I log pretty much everything, right? So security rating events, boom. So apply that. So then I can look at my log. So there's a log. So there's a system events. So all those events, I change the policy, all those things, and then security rating events. You can see that, right? I run those security events so you can see the results. So all plus, you can see that gradually moving up, right? And then let me show you this antivirus. Let's see if there's any, there's no antivirus, no virus. There's web filtering. So you see that I'm blocking YouTube based on my profiles, right? This is pretty much all real time. And it's a very short period of time of storage retention rate. So I'm going to show you this. So this is the FortiGate cloud. So this FortiGate cloud, basically, I have I introduced this in earlier episode of TGIF, but this one I just want to show you guys. So I have two endpoints, basically on the back, and they constantly try to access the internet. So you can see that different sources from different IP addresses, right? So this is a log coming from this particular FortiGate. I have a FortiView on that, and this is a log, right? So it's collecting all those logs. So I can see that for the last 24 hours. So not much going on. So what we can do is, if you look at each of the log traffic, you can see that, no, we can look into that to see what's going on. And let me see, application. Yeah. So there's an application, you can see that's a web clients, right? So this is more detailed information in here. So you can definitely use the log to analyze the information traffic. So this one doesn't look any particular bad. So some people looking at CNN, there's a window updates, right? So you can check that to see it's really legit, right? And other than that, it's basically all HTTP browsers. So we can look at virus log, there's no virus, there's no spam, web filtering probably a little bit more. Oh, no, there's no web filtering, traffic log, there's no, is there any attack? No. So those are information were important for us to look into further to really understand what's going on with our devices. Yeah, so if I look at the event log, can also look you see that there's a 40 sandbox updates, right? You can see that 40 sandbox AV database update, which is very useful. So we know, like I mentioned to you earlier, in the level 4, I believe that you need to make sure your FortiGate firmware and all the service vendor subscription service are all up to date. So this will tell me information is up to date. So I know my FortiGate is definitely protected, right? So there's one, let me show you this. So FortiGate Clouds, very similar to FortiAnalyzer. So this is FortiAnalyzer, right? So I'm gonna check on the device manager. I'm gonna look at this device, right? Let me see, hold on a second. Let me go to log view. Yeah, right, you can see that. This is lab devices. Okay, so you can see there's a policy violation over here. This has happened today, and different information. So this is all the log again. FortiAnalyzer or FortiCloud. Let me move this over here. FortiAnalyzer, FortiCloud. So FortiAnalyzer, you can get it from as a VM, which I prefer, or you can get it as a hardware device. You can use a FortiAnalyzer collect different devices. So if you want to be manage a service for your multiple clients, you can definitely get a FortiAnalyzer, and then you can use it to monitor all those informations. And same thing with the FortiGate Cloud. So everything's a cloud. So you can also use FortiGate Cloud to manage your FortiGate and then collecting logs and producing reports. So you can use both ways to produce pretty much similar results. I hope this is very useful to you guys. And then there's other resources available, like we always mention during the past TGIF. There's a multiple resource you can absolutely look more into. There's a FortiGuard lab, FortiGuards. There's another one I think is very pretty useful is the user forum. So you can go to forum.fortinet.com and you can check if anybody run into any question, any issues, or any up-to-date information. You can always go in there and check. And again, the partner portal, a lot of people nowadays do a lot of CTAP for, I love that because CTAP's really you can easily deploy within half an hour, and the report will be able to produce in three to 4 days, and you can easily displace any competitor product pretty much. I saw a lot of FortiGate using CTAP to displace many of competitors like SonicWall, like Cisco's, WatchGuard, all those devices. Very easy because the CTAPs really capture all those information, and all those information, the security breaches, security break-ins, all those information really supply from the FortiGuard. That will conclude my presentation here, and I hope this is useful to you, and thank you for sharing the space and time with me. And this is the information for the contact. Any one of us want to contact any one of us, please feel free. For any support question, pre-sale or post-sale support questions, please send to support_us@exclusivenetworks.com. Thank you. Have a great holidays, a great weekend.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. I'm going to do one more poll if you guys could kind of just give us some insight of what's going on, and hoping you guys can join us for next week's TGIF, which will be on FortiSIM, the first part. So we'll hold on for a couple minutes if anyone's got questions, but appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.